welcome back to Trees and Turtles. My name's Imogen, and in today's video I am talking about pretty privilege. If you're not already subscribed, make sure to do that, give this video a thumbs up, follow me on Instagram, and let's get started. So, what is pretty privilege? In essence, it is the phenomenon where conventionally attractive people get treated better in society and experience an unfair advantage due to their looks. Okay, so this can take several forms, and I'm going to run through all of the advantages, and then we're going to talk a little bit about the disadvantages. So let's get started. Number one, obviously, social perception. Okay, so attractive people are usually thought of as being better people from a moral point of view, and I will put sources for everything in the description, because we always cite our sources, even when this isn't the case, okay? So they're seen as more intelligent, more friendly, more competent. More people want to be friends with them. They also experience more positive interactions, like people holding doors for them or treating them with more respect in public settings. The obvious exception to this is catcalling, obviously, and unfortunately, but in general the principle still stands. Number two, legal perception. Pretty people are more often deemed to be innocent of crimes and are more likely to have the jury be sympathetic and to be sentenced more leniently because they are seen as being more morally good. Now, we tend to associate the trait of moral goodness with the trait of physical beauty, even when the two actually have no correlation whatsoever. A good example of this actually is Ted Bundy. You know, even though everyone knew he was a serial killer, and even though he was a serial killer, a lot of people found him good looking and idolised him for that reason, even though he was objectively a terrible person and a criminal. And it happens with fictional characters too. I mean, one example of this is the Joe Goldberg effect. You know, Joe Goldberg, the character from the show You. Like, I am an unapologetic fangirl of that show. Like, I am not immune to this phenomenon, guys. Alright, number three, professional opportunities. Attractive people are often more likely to be hired, promoted, and get more opportunities than people who are less attractive. This is sometimes called the beauty bias. Relationships. This is one that's talked about a lot. Okay, so attractive people are more likely to have a lot of friends, and more people want to date them. Now, this has kind of a flip side in that the people who are attracted to them may be shallow and only there for their looks, but they do have more opportunities. They have more options in any social interaction, whether it's romantic or platonic, and they need to put less effort in. And, of course, media representation. So the media can contribute a lot to the beauty standard, and what is considered conventionally attractive may change. So pretty privilege may, like, wax and wane throughout your life, depending on the portrayal of the beauty standard in popular media. The recent trend to idolise women with curves meant that my body fit the beauty standard up until recently, when body trends shifted towards more skinny women again. Now I don't really fit the beauty standard anymore. So it can change in quite short cycles. It's been really interesting to observe the impact of this societal change on my self-perception, for me, personally. Also, more attractive people get better representation in the media. Have you ever seen Ugly Superhero? Like, literally, have you ever seen Ugly Superhero? Likewise, these idealised representations lead to more influence and power for pretty people. And self-esteem. Pretty people are likely to get more compliments and positive feedback on other people, leading to higher self-esteem, because, you know, they're getting complimented all the time. That's going to boost your ego. Okay, those are all the upsides of pretty privilege, and there are a hell of a lot. But I would be remiss if I didn't mention the downsides as well. And number one is that people may be jealous. Now, you know, jealousy is normal in society, okay? It doesn't necessarily have to be with how somebody looks. It can also be with, you know, the job they have or the car they have or where they live, okay? So people are jealous of other people for a lot of reasons, but pretty privilege is one of those reasons. There's also a lot of expectations to maintain your beauty and present yourself in a certain way. Something that I've noticed recently on social media is when, you know, conventionally attractive people like dramatically change their look, or they change their style, or they, you know, stop maintaining their beauty in ways which are considered conventional, they often get like a lot of online hate. They get hate comments being like, oh, you ruined your body, you like should be doing this, you should be doing that, why did you stop, now you look ugly. Okay, so there's a lot of expectation to maintain your beauty and present yourself in a certain way that conforms to the beauty standard and maintains your pretty privilege. Objectification. I mentioned catcalling earlier, and this is a big problem. Like, of course, anybody can be objectified, but I think the way the media has presented conventionally attractive people has meant that objectification is sometimes more of a problem. So that can be a problem in relationships, it can be a problem in just general life, it can be a problem in perceptions. So, for example, the dumb blonde stereotype, where blonde women are sometimes considered to be more fun, but also less intelligent or less competent. So objectification and stereotyping. Actually, that brings me on neatly to my next point, which was about stereotyping, and I've literally written down blonde women are sometimes seen as less intelligent. So yeah, blonde women are sometimes seen as less intelligent. Other examples, the male stereotype of the himbo, where a guy is like really buff, but maybe a little bit like dumb, if that makes sense. So objectification and stereotyping are big downsides of being conventionally attractive. Imposter syndrome. Now, if you have like a talent for anything or you stand out in some positive way, then a lot of the time you are likely to experience imposter syndrome. I've experienced this academically. I don't necessarily consider myself to be a massive like overachiever academically, but even so, I feel imposter syndrome sometimes, and it can also happen to conventionally attractive people to do with their looks. And finally, the downside of pretty privilege, on the other hand, is discrimination against people who don't fit the standard. So that is, when I started this video, I meant to say that pretty privilege affects us all, okay, not just pretty people, right? So if you fall on this sort of pretty side of the scale, then you're more likely to get all of the advantages that I listed above, some of the disadvantages I listed above. But if you don't, if you're considered like conventionally ugly, then you might be discriminated against. And that sucks, okay? So the social inequality created by pretty privilege is a challenge. Attempts have been made to solve this in several different fields by challenging normal beauty standards and judging people on their personalities without seeing a picture of them. So, for example, like the show Love is Blind, blind marking in academic settings, blind hiring in the job market, dating apps where you talk to people before seeing a picture of them. These are all steps in the right direction. I mostly wanted to make this video because it's a really interesting phenomenon that I've been observing over the past few years, and yeah, I just wanted to kind of reflect on it because I had a lot of thoughts about it. And obviously, you know, like I said earlier, you may shift between groups in your life. So what is considered conventionally attractive now might not be in 10 years, or you might not be considered conventionally attractive now, but in 10 years you got pretty privileged because the like body trends have shifted or whatever. Okay, so this is an issue that affects all of us, and I hope I have made you think today. Right, that's all for this video. If you're not already subscribed, make sure to do that. Give this video a thumbs up, follow me on Instagram, and I will see you guys next time. Okay, bye!